Um, but then also, I'm curious, what have you guys been reading? What has been fascinating you? I know for me, I've been fascinated with the story of Balaam. I've been on Balaam and Numbers for a minute. Um, I think the story of Balaam is one that we always talk, not always, but I think the story of Balaam is one that's talked about a lot. You know, Balaam, he's the story where he was going to go curse the children of Israel, and then the donkey talks to him, is like, he hits the donkey, and then he sees the angel, and the angel was about to kill him. And that part is wild, but there's some wilder stuff in the story of Balaam. Like the fact that Balaam was not even an Israelite, but he knew Yahweh. And the fact that Balaam had had a reputation for cursing people. So it wasn't like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't it wasn't like Balaam was this, devout Christian, and Moab went to go get him. I mean, in short, the story is the king, I believe it's Moab, he sees the children of Israel coming. The children of Israel are coming to him. And he sees just the size of it. I think he's probably heard of other nations or places that they have come through. And then he starts freaking out. He's like, yo, they are going to trample us. And Squirrel, it's so interesting the perspective that the other people had of the children of Israel and the perspective that the children of Israel had of themselves, right? When in Numbers 13, when they went to go spy out the land, they were like, man, we're just grasshoppers. We can't do nothing. Now, granted, they probably had good reason for that. But then when another people see the children of Israel, when Moab sees the children of Israel, he sees them as a great threat. Like, oh my goodness, these people are going to destroy me. But they saw themselves as just like not losers, but they didn't see themselves the same way that other people saw them. And that's even the same thing with Pharaoh. The reason why Pharaoh began to enslave the children of Israel is because he was concerned that they would align with his enemies and overthrow him. But it's like they didn't see that in themselves. They didn't see that potential. And so he starts to put them in slavery and deal harshly with them. And instead of them seeing the same potential in themselves that their enemies saw, they just went into slavery. You know what I mean? They could have did when he started dealing harshly with them, he could have did, I mean, they could have did what he was afraid of. They could have aligned with other people and fought back, but they didn't have that perspective. But it's just interesting that a lot of times, I'm not gonna say a lot of times, does stand out to me those times when their enemies, the children of Israel's enemies, would see more potential than they saw in themselves. But so anyway, Moab, he sees them, he starts like, I wonder if I can put it up, but he is significantly freaking out. He's not like, all right, this is something I gotta deal with. He's like, oh my gosh, we all about to die. He's like me on an airplane. He's like, this is it. He starts freaking out. And so then he goes to Balaam and he wants Balaam to curse the children of Israel because Balaam had a reputation for being able to curse people. But here's the thing, Balaam is not a Israelite. You know what I mean? So how is he able, how is he able to curse people? And then God's interaction with Balaam is like, you know what I mean? Like God didn't come to Balaam like, I'm gonna kill you. God came to Balaam like, what's up? And so Balaam seems to have this type of what should I call it? Gifting where he can communicate with these spiritual beings. And Balaam, though he does not seem to be a follower of God is aware of Yahweh. So when Moab comes, he says, I got to ask Yahweh. And, it's just, I wonder if I should put it up. I said I'm not going to be long, but I also said I'd be lying, just like your pastor be lying when he said he's not going to be long. But it's just fascinating because Balaam is not a good dude. I mean, I don't know another way to say that, but like, he is not a good dude. And he sent messengers to Balaam by the river in the land, and he said, look, the people are from Egypt. This is Numbers 22. Look, they cover the surface of the land. So this is Moab talking to Balaam, sending messages to Balaam. And he says, now please go curse the people for me because they are stronger than me. Perhaps I will be able to strike them. So Moab is looking for Balaam to curse the children of Israel on his behalf, which, all right. And then going down, he says, for out of the land, because I know whomever you bless is blessed, and whomever you cursed is cursed. So this seems to be, from Moab's account, Balaam's reputation, that whoever he blesses is blessed, whoever he curses is cursing. And so he sends the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian, and they went with a fee, a divination fee. So they went to go pay Balaam to do this. And he said, and Balaam said to him, starting in verse 8, he told him to spend the night, and I'll return to you, just as Yahweh speaks to me. So he says, stay here. I got to go talk to Yahweh. So verse 9, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about all the craziness of it in my head out loud. Sorry. I mean, in my head. And I'm just killing. And then God said to Balaam, who are these men? And Balaam said to God, Balak, king of Moab, sent word and said, look, a people out of Egypt, and they cover the surface of the land. Now go curse them for me. Perhaps I will be able to attack them and drive them out. This is the thing. I don't know. Maybe he did. It doesn't seem like Balaam is familiar with the children of Israel. Maybe he is. I don't know. But he is familiar with Yahweh. You see that? So it's like, this is the Old Testament. Like, God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, of the children of Israel. So here you have Balaam, who is familiar with Yahweh, but it doesn't seem like he's like, oh, he wants me to attack. He wants me to curse Israel because, and I'm admitting that maybe I am projecting here, but like, if Balaam knew that who he was talking about was Israel, or that Israel was his God's chosen people, it would not even be a discussion. It would not even be like, oh yeah, let me see. It's like somebody say, hey, can you curse your child for me? Yeah, or can you ask if it's okay to curse your child? No, heck no. So Balaam doesn't seem to be fully aware of God's relationship with Israel, but he is aware of God, of Yahweh, which is interesting. How does that work? So anyway, going on fast, and Balaam, God came to Balaam, starting verse 10, and Balaam said to God, he told him what happened. Verse 11, he said, look, people are coming out of Egypt. Look, they cover the surface of the land. Now go and curse them. Perhaps I will be able to attack them. 12, God said to Balaam, you will not go with them. You will not curse the people because they are blessed. Balaam got up and he went to the princes of Balak. And he said, go to your land because Yahweh refused to allow me to go with you. And then the princes got up and went back to Balaam. And they said to him, Balaam refuses to come with us. This is so interesting because right after this, so Balaam says, sorry, Yahweh said, no, I'm not going. And then the king, he basically he sends more princes and he sends them a message like, don't you understand? Like, I will lace you. I will change your life. Okay? Because again, he is desperate. He sees the children of Israel and he's like, it is over. They are going to destroy us. So he was like, I will give you whatever I can do to get you to come here and curse these people. And so Balaam, instead of being like, yo, Yahweh says no, once Balak drives the price up, once the price goes up, yesterday's price is not today's price, yesterday's curse is not today's curse price, whatever, then Balaam goes back to God like, hey, big guy, hey, you know, about this cursing people again. Because he took the price up, and all right, but let me go along because I said I'm not going long, but this is fascinating. All right, and then the Balaam said to him, scrolling down, no, I'm gonna go down to 9 and now 19. Sorry, and now please also stay here the night and let me find out again what Yahweh will say with me. And God came to Balaam at night, and he said to him, if the men, this is, all right, I'll tell you now, squirrel, if the men have come to call you, get up and go with them. But only the word that I will speak to you, you will do. So Balaam got up in the morning and saddled his donkey, and he went with the princes. But God became angry because he was going. Excuse me? Rewind. All right, does, better out there be like running back again? All right, so God tells Balaam to go. And then Balaam says, bet. And then the next verse is, God became angry because Balaam was going. 20. Verse 20, Numbers 22:20, it says, God came to Balaam at night, and he said to him, if the men have come to call you, get up and go with them, but only the word that I speak to you will you do. So Balaam got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and he went with the princes, 22, but God became angry because he was going. So and this could not be true or truth, my kind of interpretation of this is, I don't know if it's fair to say that God was being sarcastic, but it's like God had already told Balaam what his decision was. Then Balaam comes back to God like God is going to change his mind because Balak offered more money. And so what I kind of see as a possibility, I won't say it's truth, is that God is like, listen, if you're going to listen to Balak, listen to Balak. I already told you what I want you to do. And I think he might have said it in the way that is like it says here in the scripture, where it kind of seems like, oh, so you're saying I can go. And I think he kind of went, and it ticked God off. So that is my kind of interpretation of why it seems like, but it is weird. It seems like God told him, go, and then he went, and God was angry. And so continuing on, I'll read down this real fast. And it said, but God became angry because he was going, and the angel of Yahweh stood in the road as an adversary to him. He was riding on his donkey, and two servants were with him. And the donkey saw the angel of Yahweh standing in the road with a sword drawn in his hand. And the donkey turned aside and went into the field. That is wild. Yeah, that is wild. And then I don't know if you guys ever read the book by Unseen Realm by Dr. Michael Heiser, which is a great book. And he has a passage on there about a section only about the angel of Yahweh and who the angel of Yahweh is. And I mean, I think he makes a pretty convincing argument. I'm not going to say here because I had to pull up the scriptures of how he got there. Well, I guess I will. I hate when people insinuate something and don't say it. He brought out a fair amount of scriptures that point to an insinuation of it being Jesus. And I can't say that with certainty, but when you hear his scripture references and how I could definitely see how he got there. I can see how he got there. But anyway, the angel of Yahweh is standing in the doorway with a sword drawn. Now I don't even know, like, what's he gonna do? He's just gonna cut his head off? Was it you know what I mean? Like, because this is like the donkey could see it, but they could not. So was this? I don't know. But Balaam was headed for trouble. All right. So anyway, when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she pressed herself against the wall. She pressed her foot, the foot of Balaam, in the wall, and so he struck her. And the angel of the Lord went further and stood in a narrow place where there was not a way to turn aside, right or left. And when the donkey saw the angel of Yahweh, she laid down under Balaam, and Balaam became angry, and he struck the donkey with a staff. And Yahweh opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said, what did I do that you struck me these 3 times? That is wild. The thing I like about this is because I think we have in like American Western society, we're not very I don't think we have a lot of like faith or belief in the supernatural, right? So many things that we can prove or feel like that we understand, right? It's only things that we can understand are only things that we believe. So it's very wild to like it feels like some Lord of the Rings, some Chronicles of Narnia type of stuff that this donkey is like, why you hit me? And you know, if I was Balaam, I don't know if Balaam freaked out. I don't know if Balaam like talked to donkeys on the regular XYZ, but I'm like, hey, yo, what you know what I mean? But I say all that to say, I think in Christianity, even in our faith, we have adopted a little, it's still supernatural. We believe in the Jesus supernatural part, but like there's a lot of like wild supernatural. When I say supernatural, I'm not just talking about like casting out demons, right? That's kind of the way we view supernatural. Normally it's just like casting out demons, stuff in spirit, but like the fact this freaking donkey, you know what I mean? This donkey sees an angel and then it's like ramming this dude's leg against it. The dude's hitting him, hitting the donkey, and the donkey just speaks like, hey, cuz, stop hitting me. And it is interesting because Balaam was mad at the donkey, but he was doing the same thing that he thought that the donkey was doing, which was not obeying, right? So Balaam is striking this donkey because it is not obeying. It is doing its own thing in his perception. But in reality, he is doing his own thing. He is out here trying to figure out a way that he could not upset Yahweh and still get this money from the king. So it really seems like, well, I don't know. I don't know his intentions, but it seems like it. So it seems like he is really kind of going there with Balak to explore his options. Okay, maybe Yahweh won't let me curse them, but maybe there's some type of way that I could, you know, I can get this bread. There's a fair amount of extra biblical books and writings about, but still traditional around that same time, writings about Balaam. Like he is a well-known uh, figure in Jewish tradition, and most of them that I've read, I'm not going to claim to be a freaking Balaam scholar, but from the ones that I have read, they don't seem to be. He doesn't seem to have a favorable. People didn't seem to have a favorable perspective on him. So maybe he's under someone who's been misunderstood through history, but even in certain Jewish tradition writings, he's not perceived as the best type of person in the world. So, but I don't know. But anyway, going down, so the Lord, Duncan said, verse 30. So I'll start with 28. Yahweh opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to him, what did I do that you struck me these 3 times? And Balaam said to the donkey, because you made a mockery of me. If only I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now. How wild is that? All right, squirrel. My fear is to have this level of a lack of self-awareness. This is like, you know what I mean? It's like it's like a metaphor. The angel of the Lord is standing in the doorway. Sean, what up? We are going over Numbers 22. 22 at 30. The angel of the Lord is standing at a doorway with a sword, getting ready to kill Balaam because Balaam is disobeying Yahweh. And Balaam, in the middle of doing that, has the nerve to say to his donkey, you are making a mockery of me. If only I had a sword, I would kill you. Not knowing that however many feet down, the angel of the Lord has a sword getting ready to kill him. I just like, God, please. Oh, Lord, please don't let me be have that much of a lack of self-awareness that like he's almost unintentionally prophesying his potential fate. His disobedience leading him to die by the sword. But anyway, I just thought that was wild. And so the donkey said, 30, the donkey said to Balaam, am I not your donkey, which you have ridden on all your life until this day? Have I been in the habit of doing this to you? He said, no. And Yahweh exposed the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of Yahweh standing in the road with his sword drawn. And he bowed and he worshiped his face. And the angel Yahweh said to him, why have you struck your donkey 3 times? Look, I have come out as an adversary because your conduct is perverse before me. Yeah. And that goes back to, it's a lot of that, I mentioned before about Dr. Michael Heiser in the, what is the book called, The Unseen Realm, where he talks about a lot of times you'll see this interchangeable language between where it seems like an angel is talking, but then it seems like God is talking, and you're trying to figure out who. This is kind of a light version of one of those scriptures where he says, I have come to you, I have come out as an adversary to you because your conduct is perverse to me. It would seem like that would be something that God would be saying, but the angel of Yahweh saying that. The donkey saw me and turned aside from these 3 times. If she had not turned aside from my face, I would have killed you. I would have killed you and kept her alive. And Balaam said to the angel of Yahweh, I have sinned because I did not know that you were standing to meet me in the road. Now, if I'm displeasing you, I will turn back. I don't understand this behavior. I would turn back, and the angel Yahweh said to Balaam, go with the man. but only speak what I will speak to you. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. So it's like, again, God told him to go, and then he went, and then God got mad at him, like, I'm about to kill you. And then he's like, all right, I'm sorry. I'm going to turn back. And then he's like, God's like, nah, go. I'll be like, bruh, what you want me to do? Tell me what you want me to do. Because you out here with a sword getting ready to kill me. I don't know what I'm doing. I wonder if, and I don't know, speculate, but I just wonder if, like, God needed Balaam to understand, or wanted Balaam to understand just how serious he was. That it was very important that Balaam only say what God had told him to say. Because my thought is, after seeing all that, you almost got killed. Your donkey out here texting. And, you know what I mean? And then God tells you, only say what I'm telling you to say. You are only going to say what God is telling you to say. What up? B plus. I'm just chit-chatting. Right now we're chit-chatting through Numbers 22. Numbers 22, talking about the interesting story of Balaam. I don't even know how I got here. I think I was just talking about what stood out to me, things that just stand out to me about the story of Balaam. But then, so I'll scroll down, I'll go to 23, and, oh my gosh. Yeah, y'all got to read the story of Balaam, and read it slow, because it is weirdly, it's interesting. And it's like you read these stories, and then you kind of just read through them, and then I don't know, you know how just sometimes you read something a bunch of times and then it just clicks, or then it really doesn't click too. It's like, well, no, why would he do that? And then you're like, no, why would he do that? And it's so many little things in this passage, the story of Balaam, that just like, it opens up, the floodgates of other interesting questions. So starting here, verse 1, now at 23, it says, Balaam said to Balak, build for me 7 altars and prepare for me 7 bulls and 7 rams. Balak did just as Balaam spoke. Balak offered Balaam a bull and a ram on the altar. And Balaam spoke to Balak, station yourself at the burnt offering, and I will go up. Perhaps Yahweh will come to meet me, and whatever he shows me, I will tell you. And so he went he went up to a barren height. And God met Balaam, and he said to him, and God met with Balaam, and he said to him, I have arranged 7 altars. I have offered 7 bulls on the altar. And Yahweh put a word in the mouth of Balaam. And he said to him, return to Balak, and thus you must speak. So he returned to him, and behold, he was standing beside his burnt offering, he and all the leaders of Moab. And lifted up his voice, and then we know the story. Even though he essentially begins to bless the children of Israel. I won't read the whole thing, but he says, go for me, and from where am I? From Aram, Balak led me from the mountains of the east of Moab. Go with me, curse Jacob, or denounce Israel. How can I curse whom God has not cursed? And how can I denounce whom God has not denounced? This is what, man, oh my gosh. This is the thing. All right, squirrel. That's 23. If you go to 21, Numbers 21, and we don't have to read Numbers 21, but you can just look at the header. One of the headers will be bronze serpent. In Numbers 21, God is just mad at the children of Israel. He's just mad at them. You know what I mean? Like the children of Israel are like dying because of poison, and not too far before this, Aaron it dies because of something that Moses did. I say this because it's not like when Balak comes, it's not like the children of Israel were in a worship service. You know, they had just got done having to recount because, or I think in this next verse, the next chapter, they had to recount because God had killed so many of them. Like it wasn't like the children of Israel were just really on fire for God, and God was like, "Ooh, I love these people." It's like, no, like the children of Israel had just got done disobeying God, making God mad, and then in comes Balak wanting Balaam to curse them, and then God is like, "No, these my people." And it's just like, man, God is faithful. You know what I mean? It's like you got family who you fight with, but like if somebody try to pull up, you like, no, only I could, only I could curse them. But it's like God is faithful. He is faithful, and even in his, I need some water. I sound like a wrestler. Even in his frustration with the children of Israel, he still would not abandon them. He still protected them. He still is um, watching over them. So going back to 23, because I, so I'm gonna shoot down. Look, I'm just skimming through this to get to some points. Numbers 23:11. It says Balak said to Balaam, "Why have you done this? I took you to curse my enemies. Look, you have blessed them." And answered him and said, "Should I not speak what Yahweh has put in my mouth?" This is about to get interesting. So, recapping. Balak hires Balaam to curse the children of Israel. Balaam goes, it seems like to explore his option. He goes with Balaam goes with Balak. And Balaam says, let me go talk to God. Let me go talk to Yahweh. I can only say what he says. And so Yahweh gives Balaam a word. And so Balaam stands over the children of Israel, and Balak is looking for him to curse them. And instead, he blesses them. And now Balak and Balaam sound too familiar. It's just the two B names. But Balak is like, yo, what the freak? Why I wanted you to curse them, and instead you're blessing them. And the Balaam is like, listen, I can only say, or should I not speak what Yahweh put in my mouth to speak? You know, if Yahweh says he's going to bless him, he's going to bless him. I can't curse him if Yahweh's not cursing him. And so next, Balak in 13 says, then Balak said, walk with me to another place where you will see them, but you will only see part of them, and will not see all of them, and curse them for me. So he took them to the field of Zippor on top of, I ain't going to try to pronounce that, Pisgah, and he built 7 altars, and he built, and he offered a bull and a ram offering, and Balaam said to Balak, station yourself here at the burnt offering, while I myself meet with Yahweh there. Then Yahweh met with Balaam, and he put a word in his mouth, and he returned to Balak. And he said, return to Balak, thus you must speak. And he came to him, and behold, he was standing at his burnt offering, and the prince of Moab with him. He said, and he said to him, what has Yahweh spoken? And he uttered this oracle. So he blesses him again, right? Scrolling down to 25. It gets interesting. Balak said to Balaam, do not curse them at all. Do not bless them at all. Balaam said, do not curse them at all, do not bless them at all. But Balaam answered and said, did I not speak to you? Did I not speak to you? Sorry. But Balaam answered and said to Balak, did I not speak to you? Whatever Yahweh says, I'm going to speak. Then Balak said to Balaam, please come with me. I will take you to another place. Perhaps it will be acceptable to God and you'll be able to curse them for me. So I kind of got obsessed with this story a little bit. And what was interesting is that where Balak was taking Balaam were these different mountains where people felt like they could hear from gods, right? And so it's almost like Balak is trying to get Balaam to hear from anyone else except for Yahweh. Because again, Balak, going back, is not under the impression that, and this would be a whole another conversation we can go down, but Balak is not under the impression that Balaam hears from Yahweh alone. And so it's almost like he's trying, and this is my kind of phrase of putting it, like trying to get Balaam to get a different reception, to get the God that he wants, to get something that will curse the children of Israel. But Yahweh keeps interjecting a blessing while Balak is trying to get the children of Israel cursed. And then something interesting happens. All right, and so then Balak says to him, come, I will take you to another place. Perhaps it will be acceptable to God, and you will curse them for me there. So Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, and he looks down on the face of, and Balaam said to them, build for me 7 altars. And so going on, and Balaam says, and Balaam saw that it pleased Yahweh to bless Israel, and he did not go as the other times to seek out sorcery. And this is what I mean by, oh my gosh, this is what I mean by him trying to get him to hear from another God other than Yahweh. And so Balaam, when he saw that it pleased God to bless Israel, he didn't go up the other times to seek out sorcery. So when Balaam picks up the Yahweh is not going to let this happen, he changes his disposition. I don't know if that's the right word, and again, he tries to take him to this high place, but it says instead he set his face toward the desert. And Balaam lifted up his eyes, and he saw Israel dwelling according to his tribe, and the Spirit of God was upon it, and he uttered his oracle and said. And so this distinction that the writer is purposely showing that this third time, this is not like every other time. This is not just like, okay, he just went up a third time. He goes from Balaam just saying whatever he hears God saying to God like taking over. And it's just like the power of God. He does what he wants. He does what he wants. And then going down to verse 10, those who bless you will be blessed. Those who curse you will be cursed. Famous scripture people still quote today. And verse 10 says, then Balak became angry with Balaam, and he clapped his hands. I just, trying to get him to shut up. Like, hey, Balaam, I called you to curse my enemies. But look, instead you have blessed them 3 times. Flee to your place Flee to your place now. I said that I would richly honor you, but look, Yahweh has withheld honor from you. But Balaam said to Balak, did I not speak to your messengers who sent me, saying, if Balak if Balak gave me the fullness of his house, the fullness of if Balak gave me the fullness of his house full of silver and gold, I am not able to go beyond the command of Yahweh to do good or to do evil from my heart. What Yahweh speaks, I will speak. I will speak. Now I am about to go to my people. I would advise you. Oh yeah, now I'm about to go to my people. I'll advise you what to do with these people in a few days. Yeah, and then he uttered another thing. It's just wild. Again, you look at Balaam's behavior. Balaam does not seem to be a man of integrity, but he seems to know about Yahweh, and he seems to know that, listen, ain't no going past Yahweh. And Yahweh seems to be, for some reason, still speaking through Balaam, which, squirrel, brings me to another point. Like, I think in our faith, a lot of times, if somebody can, and let me know if this doesn't make sense, but like if somebody prophesies or somebody can do that or does anything miraculous, we view that as proof that God is with them. And they can have all sorts of other questionable, wild behaviors. But the fact that they gave you a word, that was true. Maybe it was even a word from God. I would go that far. Maybe it was even a word from God. That does not mean that that person has integrity. That does not mean that that person has character. That does not mean that that person is even a man of God. It is, that doesn't guarantee it. Like, God spoke through the donkey. God had the donkey speak, and then you have Balaam here. I mean, again, Balaam is not that dude. He's not a man of integrity. He's not. But for some reason, God is speaking through him, and he knows that he cannot do anything except for what Yahweh is saying. And even before going into this next prophecy, he's like, listen, I told you I can't do anything other than what Yahweh told me. But let me think about this. I'm gonna get back to you in a couple of days. And let me go back to prophesying what Yahweh said. You know what I'm saying? It's just wild. And so for me, I look at people's lives. I look at um, their integrity, because I don't know. God does what he wants. God does what he wants. And so, God, for some reason, he just spoke to and through Balaam. I do think that there are certain people, and this is my opinion. I'm backing away and saying this is completely opinion and conjecture. I do think that there are certain people, just like there are different gifts. I do think that there are certain people who have, what's the best way to say this? Access to, I feel uncomfortable saying spiritual realm just because it gets weird. But I do think it's people who have that gift. And I don't think that makes them people of integrity. I just think for some reason they got their gifts. They got their gift. And again, Balaam seems to be one of them. And Balaam goes and he prophesies, or he says the thing that Yahweh tells him to say. And then we don't see here, this scripture kind of ends after this, and then they go on to something else. But later we see in verse 30, let me see. We see in verse 30, was it 30, 31? Where is it? Maybe 31. Yeah, I think it's 31. I won't read it now. Yeah, 31. Is it 31? I want to make sure. Yeah. That Balaam comes back with his plan, or Balaam's plan is revealed. And we know that God don't mess with Balaam because even Jesus, when he came back, he was like, listen, they over there following the doctrine of Balaam. And essentially what Balaam told the children, what he told the Midianites, which is wild. He's like, basically like, listen, God is not going to leave them, but maybe you can get them to leave God. And so he advised the Balak to have the Midianites, he advised them to have their women sleep with them and serve their gods, and then get them to rebel and to leave God. Then that way they will have victory, and that's what they did. And this is all Balaam. This is all Balaam. This is not a man of integrity, but for some strange reason, God still used them and interacted with them. And so for me, it's just a reminder that like I do want to be used by God. And I want him to do whatever it is that he wants to do. But I want to truly follow him. I want to truly follow him. And, I want to truly follow him. I want to be obedient to him. I want him to know that I love him regardless of what he allows me to do or not to do. And yeah, I look at Balaam and I think about people today. And I think and it makes sense. I think we give a lot of cachet and a lot of trust to people just because they have certain gifts. And that don't mean you got integrity. And that doesn't mean that you follow God. It just means God in his sovereignty, and for some reason, decided to allow you to have these gifts. But I think we've been talking about a lot this year about kind of taking ownership of your own faith, just meaning that like you are reading the word, you're reading scripture, you're studying. Again, you're not going into some silo all by yourself. You are a part of a community and connected with people, but also what you believe is not based upon this is just what I've been told. I have not read it or know it. This is just what they say. Like, no, you interact with scripture, you're studying scripture. And when you do that, you'll begin to see people whose lives don't line up with that, don't line up with what they preach, don't line up with what they teach. And miracles or not, nah, nah. Yeah, nah. I think we have to, I think that's part of being discerning. But